Hi, everyone. I'm Frank Wigginton, and I thought I'd take a minute or two and just share with you a bit of my background and how I got into personal finance in the first place. So, I was born in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Go Rough Riders! I have two older sisters. My mother was a teacher of students with learning disabilities, and my father worked for the Solicitor General of Canada developing crime prevention programs to divert people from crime and those types of things. When I was 8 years old, we moved to Ottawa, and that's where I grew up. We didn't have a whole lot. My parents lived paycheck to paycheck until I was about 15 years old. And although my sisters and I had a great childhood and wanted really for nothing, there wasn't a whole lot of extra money. And so if we wanted something, we had to come up with the money to those things ourselves. So when I was 10 years old, I started my first job. I started delivering newspapers. And when I was 13 years old, I started working at the local grocery store, boxing groceries and loading groceries into cars. When I was 14, I started working for a mobile DJ service and moving band equipment and heavy sound equipment and wrapping miles and miles and miles of cables. But they were great jobs. When I was 16, I worked at McDonald's. And when I was 18, I got a job working as a security guard, and that allowed me to work while I went to college. Now, I went to college, I started doing computer engineering, and that was a lot of time working with a computer and coding and debugging and doing a whole bunch of that stuff. And I'm a people person, and I was like, I really wasn't happy with what I was doing. At the same time, I'd managed to pay for my school and still had some money left over from my jobs. And so I wanted to figure out, how do I get better than bank interest on my money? Right. And there's got to be a way to invest this money and do better than just, 0.5% in interest at the time. And so this is where I started exploring and learning about personal finance and where I could go and learn more about it. And back then, you had to go and take courses and do things on your own, and everything was very analog. Nowadays, everything's much more readily accessible and online, and you can take courses and do things that way. But this led me down the path to getting not just one, but getting five designations in personal finance. I also ended up getting two fellowships in personal finance. And so that then led me to starting to work at different financial institutions. And so when I was living in Ottawa, I got a job working at a bank as a teller. And I did that for about a year. And then I wanted to do bigger and better things. So I went and I got my licenses to become a stockbroker. I think it damn near killed my parents. They more on the left side of the political spectrum, I would say. And they probably wondered where they went wrong when their son said they're going to go off to Toronto and work on Bay Street as a stockbroker. But they brought me up with really strong values of helping other people and helping and making a difference in the world. And these were the values that I carry still to this day. So after a year or two working as a stockbroker, sure, I was making a lot of money and I was making a lot of money for my parents, but it was very disheartening. It very unfulfilling. And so I was looking for a better way. And so I left working as a stockbroker and I started working for one of the big banks, thinking I could work at the bank. People would come in, I would help them with their finances, I would help them deal with that stuff. And that was a great experience. I learned a ton about credit and all the stuff that isn't taught in all my personal finance courses that I had taken to get all my designations. And so I learned about mortgages and credit cards and lines of credit and consolidations and credit ratings and all that kind of good knowledge around credit, which I didn't have before. So it was great there. But the more I worked at the bank, the more I came to realize the bank really wasn't so much interested in having me help the clients as it was to just sell them another product. And so once again, I made a decision, I made a shift, I left the banks and I started my own fee for advice financial planning company. And so I worked for clients. They would pay me. I would help them with their personal finances, prepare plans for them, do that sort of thing. And I merged that business with another company. And after a few years, I decided I wanted to try and reach an even larger audience. I wanted to try and help a larger group of people. And so I started my own financial literacy company. And so I went around to companies and organizations and I taught the employees about their pensions, about personal finances, about retirement, about cash flow, about money management, about all those things. And I would routinely get people making comments like, why hasn't anyone ever told us this before? Why hasn't anyone ever explained this to us this way before? And so it was very empowering. When I started that business, I also wrote a book. Now, this is out of date. This was my self published version called How to Eat an Elephant, One Day a Month to Financial Success. And this book I self published and I built a bunch of tools. Now, don't go looking for it because it's woefully out of date. In 2012, John Wiley and Son picked up the book and republished it. This is How to Eat an Elephant, Achieving Financial Success One Bite at a Time. And this was my guide to breaking down personal finances into bite-sized pieces to make it easier to understand, easier to manage. But once again, these books are out of date. Maybe one day I'll update them. Maybe I'll write another book. But these books were a cornerstone to the financial literacy programs that I was going and teaching people about personal finance and helping people get their financial affairs in order. Now, I sold that business in 2018, and I've been working and doing fee for advice financial planning ever since. And now I'm making a shift to help people on a larger scale. So I'm creating a community, the Frank Finance community, where I can share my advice, where I can share my tips to thousands and thousands of people, not just one or two at a time, and where I can hopefully reach more people in a really impactful way. Now, my message is about being direct and being frank. Can I be frank with you? Let me be straight with you and explain personal finances in a very specific way. I don't manage money. I don't sell personal finance products, but what I do is I help to get people to understand personal finances in a way that nobody's ever explained it to them before. And this has all come about ultimately from my desire to want to go out and help more people and help people achieve a better quality of life and reduce their stress around money and to reduce their anxiety around all the different aspects and the confusion that comes from all the different pieces of finances and personal finances. Many of you may be just starting on your personal finance journey. You may be just getting your first paychecks. You may be graduating college and starting your first serious major job where there's benefits and pensions and this type of stuff. And it comes with a lot of confusion. You may be trying to figure out, how am I going to buy my first house and do all that sort of thing. And this is the stuff I want to help you with. This is the stuff I want to give you all those insider secrets and all those tips and tricks to jump forward faster and move quicker. Okay, when it comes to your personal finances. All right. If you're looking for get rich quick and you're looking for the hottest stock tips and things like this, that's not me. You're in the wrong place. That's not what I do. I help you to understand those core aspects of personal finance and how to achieve a better quality of life. This is what I've been talking about for so many years, as you'll see on my book here. Are you ready for a better quality of life? That's ultimately what I want to do, is to help demystify personal finances, help to give it to you straight so that you truly do understand it and explain it in a way that's not confusing, that's not overwhelming, in a way that you can actually enjoy learning about personal finances. I'm going to have tips and tricks, and I'm going to set up live Q&A sessions. And if you want, you send me your information. I'll do a breakdown with you to explain what's going on, what you should be doing, how you should be doing it differently. Should you be putting money into these first-time home savings accounts? Should you be putting money into an RSP? Should you be using the tax-free savings accounts? How do taxes work? How do I manage money when it comes to dealing with my partner? My partner doesn't see things the same way I do. How do I deal with that? Should I be buying a car, leasing a car? How am I ever going to afford to buy my first home? And why do I pay so much in taxes, and what can I do differently? And why is it that I never have enough money at the end of the month? And how do I get my debt and those types of things under control? This is the stuff I want to help you with. This is the stuff I've been changing people's lives with for the last 28 years. Helping people with their personal finances, helping people to understand it, empowering them, and giving them a better quality of life. So if this is something that you think you would really connect with, you want to learn more about, check out my Stand Store and the links. Follow me on the different social media platforms. I'm going to be coming out with a whole bunch of information as I build this up and as I get more information and more content out there. And I really hope that I can bring you some semblance of understanding, demystify a lot of the errors and mistakes and things that are out there, and make your life better. That's what I'm hoping to do. So if you'll allow me to be frank with you, I really would love it if you would join me. Share this with your friends, family, share it with everybody you feel that could probably use some help with their personal finances, and let's go and develop and create a better quality of life. Look forward to seeing you in some of our sessions. Thanks.